leading up to 2023 and early 2023, late 2022, leading into 2023, the mass media and others have led everyone to believe that we're going to get into this massive housing market crash. Well, we haven't really seen it. In a housing market crash, for context, for everybody that's going to get all mad about this video or this conversation in the comments, a housing market crash relates to the prices of homes. So that's what we're going to look at right now. And so there's a couple of new reports that came out. One was from Fannie Mae. Let's look at this one first. Home sales will be subdued for the rest of 2023. This is a recent report from Fannie Mae that just came out. I'll read to you a couple things in the report, then we'll talk about it. Strong home buyer demand is providing more support for home prices than economists at Fannie Mae had expected at the beginning of the year, like most others. But forecasters at the mortgage giant expect tight for sale inventory will keep sales subdued for the rest of the year. Fine, we're going to talk about home sales in just a second. Stick with me on this. Here's what the chief economist at Fannie Mae had to say. The economic slowdown has resumed, whether the end result is a modest recession or simply a soft landing remains unanswered, although we continue to expect the former. So that's yet to see. We'll find out. So let's first look at the national home price declines that we've seen this year. So I'm going to go ahead and actually show you a graph. Let me pull this up, because I think there's a lot of context and a lot of nuance here. So if you look at my screen right now, and for people listening to this on the podcast, I'll kind of articulate this the best that I can. So national home price declines seen as peaking next year. Okay, well, let's give this some context. We're coming off of record-breaking home prices in Q1 of 2022, as you can see. Home prices were up 20% on average. Some places they were up even higher than that. And if you look before that, this is the highest home prices have been ever. I'll show you another report right here. This is a graph from Statista.com, and you can see the peak of home prices over $400,000 was the record home price that we've ever seen in this country. Well, let's go back to this graph. So from 20% up in Q1 2022, you can look at the graph going down. This is what people are communicating or misleading to the market. They're saying home prices are crashing. Well, let's give this context. 0% is the baseline, meaning if this graph was at 0%, home prices would stay flat. This graph going down is a decrease in home appreciation. Q2 2022, home prices went up by 18%. Q3 2022, home prices went up 13%. Q4, home prices up 8.7%. Q1 up 4.5%. It's a decline in home appreciation. A lot of people confuse that. Then Q2 2023, home prices are about flat. It's not until we get into, which is kind of like where we're at right now, where home prices on average are down about 1.5%. And down from what? Oh, from the highest they've ever been in the history of the world. So that $400,000 house might be worth $375,000, but in comparison to what it was worth before pre-pandemic levels, it's still way, way up. Now, here's what's interesting about the report. The report that Inman just released from Fannie Mae yesterday is that you could see the forecast of home price declines. The worst we're anticipating, which is in Q2 2024 next year, down just over 2.5%. Home price crash? I don't think so. And then you can see home values start to come back up is what they are forecasting. And so I think the context there around a housing market crash as it relates to home prices, you have to look at the context. There's all kinds of videos out there that, home prices are down 20%, this, that, and the other thing. Appreciation at which level they have gone up in value has decreased. But if you look at year over year, maybe we're down a point and a half. So Fannie Mae, they continued. This was a great article. It just came out. Continued. It said in January, home prices were looking soft. We forecasted the national home prices would drop 4.2% on an annual basis during the fourth quarter of 2023. The theory at that time, this is important, was that last year's run-up in mortgage rates and the dramatic home price gains during the pandemic would create affordability challenges for many would-be homebuyers. But that wasn't the case. The latest Fannie Mae forecast is that home prices will be stickier on the way down, with national home price appreciation declining by 1.2% on an annual basis during the fourth quarter and peaking at negative 2.6% during the second quarter of 2026. It's just what I showed you. So now the next thing we got to look at is mortgage rate expectations, because we talked about housing prices. Housing prices are probably going to hover around being flat or down 2-3%. But again, put it into context. Down 3% from what? Oh, from home prices being way up. Most homeowners are way further. They're much further ahead than they were pre-pandemic. So if we look at mortgage rates now, so I'm going to share my screen with you on this. You can start to look at the forecast on mortgage rates. Mortgage rates, we believe, we being people in this industry of real estate and housing and mortgages, believe that the height of mortgage rates are now in the rearview mirror. That from this point moving forward, we should start to see and continue to see, rather, a downward trajectory of mortgage interest rates, which as a result should help to increase buyer demand, should help sellers get off the sideline that say, well, if rates are going to hover around 5%, 5.25%, this is what it is. Now, all the people that have been waiting to see what this market's going to do late 2022, early 2023 start to get off the sidelines. So here's what the Fannie Mae Housing Forecast Report said. With the economy still looking likely to enter recession, listen closely, economists at Fannie Mae expect mortgage rates will continue to decline. In an April 17 forecast, the Mortgage Banker Association and their economists said that they expect rates on a 30-year fixed mortgage to average about 5.5% by the fourth quarter of this year, of 2023. A drop below 5% in the third quarter of next year. So if we see rates drop beneath 5%, you will see a frenzy of buyers and a frenzy of sellers who've been waiting to see what will happen with this housing market get off the sideline, and we should start to see this housing market pick back up, because home sales are the thing that are making all the headlines with this housing market crash talk. Now, let's give this some context. Is it true that home sales are down? 1,000%. They are down. There's no doubt about it. Here's a graph on screen. 2021, we saw just under 6.2 million home sales. 2022, we ended up just over 5 million. It's projected in this year, 2023, that we'll end up around 4.2 million home sales. That's down. That's a huge dramatic drop. That's what we saw in like 2010 coming out of the Great Recession. And a lot of us believe that if we can weather the storm because of all the reasons that I just shared, you could see in 2024 that home sales start to pick up. Now, unlike 2010, when home sales dipped dramatically and inventory rose like crazy, we're not seeing that, which is keeping home prices at bay. It's keeping home prices from crashing. That's what's keeping these home prices pretty static. And so with the downward trajectory on mortgage rates, we should start to see home sales pick up. We should start to see more buyer demand. We should start to see more listings hit the market. Furthermore, let's talk about another report that is adding to the U.S. housing market, and that is new home sales soar to one-year highs in March as purchases leap 9.6%. Now, one of the biggest stories that people that believe that this would be the greatest housing market crash we'd ever see in history said so because they thought that new construction was going to get absolutely demolished. Well, that's simply not the case. Sales of newly built single-family homes leaped 9.6% in March to a one-year high, up from the revised February 2023 estimate of 623,000. This was according to data released today when I'm making this video from the U.S. Census Bureau in the Department of Housing and Urban Development. The strong month-over-month increase in sales marked for the fourth consecutive month of increases, showing that buyers are gradually easing back into the market in preparation for the real estate industry's busiest season and adjusting to new landscape of higher mortgage rates. As sellers have been more hesitant to list their current home with economic and mortgage rate environments, more buyers have turned to new construction, helping boost March's number. Home shoppers frustrated by the lack of resale inventory or new listings and high prices are presently surprised by the options and offers available from new home builders. So the median sales price for new homes, because everybody was saying, oh my gosh, look at these home builders are slashing prices. This is a sign that the market is crashing. Quite the contrary happened in March. The median sales price of new homes sold in March of 2023 was $449,800, up from $438,000 in February. The average sales price in March was $562,000, up from $498,000. Month over month, new home sales rose a stunning 170% in the Northeast, 29% in the West. And you could start to really see that maybe new construction is the unlikely hero in this housing market because it's giving people more options than just waiting for that perfect home to hit the market. Maybe these home buyers, as mortgage rates come back down, as home sellers say, oh, I do want to move. I do need something bigger. I need something smaller. Maybe they turn to new home builders, and that is what the numbers are showing. So are we in a housing market crash? I don't see it yet. I don't have any data. There's no data that suggests home prices are crashing. It's yet to be determined what the Fed continues to do throughout the rest of 2023. What's going to happen with mortgage interest rates? To which extent will we go through another recession? All of these are yet to be seen. But what we haven't seen is the house that was worth $400,000 in 2022, which is the highest home average price we've ever seen, up from maybe $300,000, $325,000, all the way up to $400,000. We don't see that house that's worth $400,000 now worth $275,000. We haven't seen the massive price drop off, which I think a lot of people are leading people to believe, like this is the Great Recession of 2008. So if you're a real estate agent or you're a mortgage loan officer or you're in the real estate industry, what are you seeing in your market? I understand that different markets are seeing different things, but there's a lot of markets seeing multiple offer situations again, just depending on where you're at. But I'm curious, what are you seeing in the marketplace? I'll continue to update you guys on the housing market as we get more information. And like always, I appreciate you guys watching the show.